Meeting is now live streaming.
Look at us. Hey.
I'm normally not technically challenged.
It wasn't challenged. It was just, just a little involved.
All right. So I'm hoping we're live. It says we are now live.
We're live. We could, yeah, it says we're live. I just got a notification. So we're all set. The internet is watching us, Kim.
Excellent. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live this evening for BPW Moncton. My name is Kim Eagles, and I am the current president of BPW Greater Moncton. And I am thrilled to be joined tonight with Natalie Davison. Natalie is a visionary. If anybody knows her, she has the most creative mind that I think I've ever met. Definitely heart-centered, and I can tell you from experience working with her, she also makes her clients work and digs deep. There's no surface stuff on all the stuff that you do. So welcome, Natalie. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you. What a lovely introduction, Kim. And I'm so excited to be chatting with you tonight.
You're good. So Natalie, can you tell everybody maybe a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am the CEO of Marrow Marketing, and we teach small business owners how to stay on brand and in integrity. So we have a membership called the Society of Brand Integrity, and it's filled with small business owners or marketers within organizations. And we come together, we teach, we coach, and we collaborate, and we hold people accountable and do all these kind of fun things inside of our membership. And I am also in our local community, a realtor. So I've got two careers, which is an interesting thing that I'm exploring. And I'm trying to figure out how to do those two things at the same time with boundaries and all of that. So I would say I'm in I've been talking about this interesting moment in my life because I've kind of done two things at once before, but never like this. And so I'm in this, what I'm calling stabilization. Everything's kind of larger than life and a lot. So I'm trying to get everything stabilized so then I can start to build good routines and stuff. But I'm in that very chaotic stabilization mode at the moment.
Like where you throw everything together and then figure out how to get it organized.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes I ever heard was, there's nothing like biting off more than you can chew and chewing it anyway. And I find myself in that state often thinking about that exact quote. So that's where I'm in the chewing right now.
I was gonna say, I read a good quote today, or a good word, and it made me kind of think of you and a few other entrepreneurs out there. And it was Marie Folio, who calls herself a multi-passionate entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because she didn't feel like she fit into one little stream, right? Like there's so much creativity going on. There's so many things that you can do. And
there is. And it's like when you really, I think one of the coolest things about having, a couple of roles going on in my life right now, the reason I have the courage to even do that is that I've spent maybe the last year and probably the last 4 years getting really serious about what my strengths are and what I'm good at, and really honest about what I'm not good at. And if you are really, really in tune with that and able to let go of what you're not good at and delegate that and bring people in to support you, then you can do so much more if you're only working your strengths. And so, we got there in Marrow and it was only my strengths, and there was more time and all of this available space. And so I found a way to fill it. And now what I'm doing with my real estate business is trying to get to the same place now, only to work in my strengths.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about Marrow for everyone? I mean, I know a little bit about it, but I don't think everybody does. You have a partner in Marrow, and maybe who your target market is and who you're passionate about working with.
So we say we're on a mission to redistribute wealth, power, and influence to small business owners. That's what we say and live and mean. And it's really what fires us up and gets us rolling, every day, because small business owners are the engine of their communities. They're where creative solutions come from. They're where innovation comes from. They give back at a higher rate. And so if you're going to spend time serving somebody or working with somebody, I always look like, who's going to amplify that work, right? If I pour my heart and soul into a client, who are those clients that are more likely to pour their heart and soul into their clients and communities. So then that time we spend together can be amplified as much as possible. And really, like, small business owners, locally based small business owners, is where we find that so often, where we find that magic, generosity and that giving back culture. So that's where we love to spend our time at Marrow.
Very good, very good. And with these entrepreneurs that you work with and that, what are the key components that you work with them to accomplish?
Yeah, we have a framework called the integrated brand. And it's all about really based on the understanding that leadership and influence come from two things: clarity and consistency. So we follow those who are clear and consistent. That is a quote from Mark Bowden, not myself. I always want to attribute appropriately, but it's true. We want to know who we can trust. We don't trust those brands and people that are always changing their position, always changing their mind. You never know, like, wait a minute, you told me your products were eco-friendly, but like now this is an issue. Like you don't want to be in conflict, always trying to figure out if you can trust the other person. That's not where you want to be. So what we do is we coach and teach our students how to create brand messaging that they can stay consistent with, that's so honest and true to their marrow, to who they are, that they don't go off brand because they don't have to remember it because it's honest. So we dig in, and like, that sounds a lot easier than it is. We usually have all of this surface stuff that you're like, oh, this is what the world wants to see, and I'll look good if I show up this way. So that's how we're taught to be. So we have to really like get rid of a lot of that learning so that we can get to the truth of who's in that organization, who's in that brand, and then we can uncover what's special about them so they can just be themselves. Easy, not easy at all.
Yeah, and really digging deep. I think contrary to popular belief, or what people think when you think brand, it's not about your logo and your graphics. That's part of it, but it's not it. Like, it's not about redesigning your logo or redesigning your colors, and that there's so much more that goes into it.
It's, when someone says Kim Eagles, what reaction does that provoke in the other person? Like, what comes to mind right away when they hear Kim Eagles, right? Like, and we were chatting about this before, like, you're known for kind of one thing and you want to be known for another thing. So now you have a task ahead of you to be known for the new thing and to talk about that more and to bring it more to the surface. And so, and we're going to do that, right? But you have to have some key things that are consistent so that when you change roles or evolve or offer new products and services, people aren't like whiplashed and having a hard time trusting you. Instead, they're like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I started talking about selling real estate, I mean, it was probably surprising, but also so many people were like, it was surprising, but not even. Like, it was surprising.
No, not even.
like, yeah, that makes perfect sense for you. Like, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. Like, a lot of that's a really good sign that the years of building my personal brand have prepared me to extend into this space.
Yeah. And it's an expansion, right, of different aspects of ourselves.
Yeah. And of course, like, I have big future plans for it. It's not a moment in time. Like, I have a whole vision here.
So if you're working with somebody, and I know this is a big question, so I'm not going to ask you to teach us how to do branding. That's what people will go and pay you to do. But if people were looking at moving forward and knowing that they need to create that personal brand, and maybe they're a startup entrepreneur or they're getting into something new or whatever, what would be your first advice as to, other than taking your course, which I will be the very first person who say go take her course because that's where you want to go. But I guess what I'm looking for is maybe a question that the entrepreneur would ask themselves to figure out where they need to go next and what's their next step.
The 100% most important decision before building a brand, and probably the hardest, is who is this all for? Who am I serving? Who am I helping? How am I, who is my buyer persona? And if you're just starting, you are going to be like everyone, or you're going to be like small business owner. I mean, I said small business owners. That's not specifically our buyer persona. We serve more people than our buyer persona, right? We have people that are not our buyer persona. They're not our ideal customer that are still getting a lot of value from our program, and we really enjoy working with. But we're not creating your buyer persona is who you making it for, who you creating marketing for, who are you speaking to when you're writing on Instagram. Like that person for us is like a progressive feminist. Not all of our clients are. We don't kick you out, if you don't identify as a feminist, but we create content that is very, very forward in using that like a narrative lens of intersectional feminism. We talk a lot about equality and identity, because that's important to us. And we want to make sure that our buyer persona understands where we are on those issues, because our buyer persona cares a lot about where we are on those issues. And so do we.
Right. So talking about those issues, so let's get into that, because we all love that. Us at BPW, of course, are definitely for the whole progressive part of it, right? So tell us. What? Oh,
Yeah.
I would guess.
All up front.
We're just pretending. No.
Yeah.
But, it's really about raising women up. It's about supporting women, progressing women to where, and I don't even want to use the word should be. It's like where we ought to be, where
we're not, let's be honest, like where we're not.
We're a lot farther than lots of other societies. I can tell you that from the people that I work with BPW International.
Yes.
But there's still a long ways to go. So for you, when you say progressive feminist, what fire does that bring up in you?
I mean, I just feel a deep sense of responsibility to use the privilege and voice that I have to do more than just sell stuff. And when people see marketing, like today I was talking about assumptions online and saying like, hey, if you want to stand out, disrupt a stereotype about your industry. So what are stereotypes about marketers? We just want to sell stuff. That is the only criteria that we're selling stuff. That is not at all how I operate on this planet. I believe marketing is just getting humans to take action. And what kind of action do we want humans to take? And so, I teach marketing to entrepreneurs 100%, but also I help all kinds of people find ways to amplify their voices and gain influence, especially around causes that matter to me. And certainly, representation is one.
Right. So can I ask you if you did anything for International Women's Day?
If I specifically did anything?
Yeah, how did you celebrate, or do you celebrate every day?
I worked a whole lot. I'll be honest, I posted on Instagram. I signed up for a webinar I was going to attend and had to cancel because I had a client that needed some assistance and help. And so I didn't get to go to the webinar that I intended to attend. But also, this is my every day. I spend a lot of time thinking about, and Kira, my partner as well, we spend a lot of time discussing, thinking about our impact, trying to do better. It's a big part of my life.
Definitely. What do you, we're going totally off script, sorry.
That's the point.
If you were to bring it down to like one major issue, topic, moving forward, what would you consider that big issue, that big topic, we need to move this forward now for women? Good question, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm focused on the micro to get to the macro. So I think about things like, okay, my heart is beating so fast to tell the story right now. I'm thinking about a conversation recently I had with a man in my life who's of an older generation than I am, who's really working on being more progressive, and doing a great job. and we were having a really like heated conversation, and he was like really doing a good job. I was really proud of him. And then he's like, but Natalie, like a lot of the issues you've seen in the workplace would be this, some people are just jerks, like they would treat men the same way. And I was like, okay. I'm like, can you tell me the last time you ever saw a man enter, say, a boardroom full of people and have another man grab him by the arm and kiss him on a cheek and then the other cheek unwarranted before that man had to speak? And my father, okay, it was my father.
Sorry, Dad.
And my father was shocked, right? Like I know he's great. I hope he's not embarrassed. But he was shocked, right? And I was like, and he was like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. And I was like, it's true. Like there are people that are, they are not nice to either gender. Absolutely. But we can't ignore the layers of that. And I think whether you think it's a greeting or not, it doesn't change the experience of the receiver. And if you're walking into a room where you're about to go and engage in a professional conduct and someone kisses you on the cheek and you don't want them to, that kind of stuff, like we have some ground to make up. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I agree.
My dad's gonna kill me.
Sorry, Dad. We won't tell. Nobody talked to Natalie's dad this week.
He was really great about it. He understood, I swear.
Well, and I think having those conversations is the micro that's going to change the macro. Because it's those conversations that we're now starting to have, and it's becoming acceptable to have those conversations. And I've had conversations with people as well who don't quite get it. They feel like there are now white males who are now being attacked because everything that they do is wrong, and that's not what the conversation is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about educating them, making them understand that the things that are happening aren't okay. Like, if it's an Italian in that office and he's kissing everybody, man or female, like maybe that's a different culture, but to actually see that stuff and be able to step back and go, that's not okay. It's the education of them being aware, because to be honest, a lot of them are just not aware.
Yeah. And, look, we're straight white women. Like we have a lot of privilege, and you know what? I'm certain that I have done damaging things from my own unawareness, and I'm learning. And when you know better, you can do better. And I try to learn, and then I try to do better, and I'm committed to that. But if I only identified myself as a straight white woman, then when people are talking about the behavior of straight white women, I might then get so overcome with shame that I can't even hear anymore. And it's really essential that if you're finding yourself always feeling really defensive when we're having these conversations about how our world has been to date, that maybe it's time to step back and open your mind to that. First of all, you are more than that. You have more identities than just those things, but those are part of your identity. And there's a very good chance that you have done things in the past that you need to unlearn, because we've been raised in this society this way. And so, we can only learn and try to be better. And I'm committed to that every day. I know you are, and that's where we are.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that's the important part. It's having those conversations. And I love that, to be able to step back and recognize where we're at and who we are. And I've had these conversations, even with people from different countries and different cultures. And from BPW, when I was at a conference a few years ago, we were having a chat with the young BPW president for international, and she was talking about the issues that she was having, not having an arranged marriage, and that her family were having a hard time with that, and that, right, like that. So there was and those were things that we were going, what? Like, for us, that doesn't, it's not even conceivable in my culture, in my life, and where, so to really be able to have those conversations and understand what other people are dealing with as well and how far we've come, but be able to have those conversations is the key.
Yeah,
I
and to
really think
really
it is
like
the
hold
key.
yourself accountable for, what side of this, of everything do you want to be on? Like, what are you ready to be, I don't know, what are you ready to accept responsibility for and to be held accountable to? And, like we are where we are, and that's the reality of things. But like, I really want to be part of building something better. I really do. I want to be able to look back and tell my kids and grandkids that I did my best and be really proud of where that is. And so that's what, that's what I'm working on every day, I guess. Yeah. I have a comment from France, I said, or I see here. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments of our call. France, I did DE&I training recently, and the trainer said it's not about the intention of the action, the impact receiving, and that matters. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I find that so many people try to use intention as armor. Like, I didn't mean that, so therefore they negate the impact. It's like, oh, I didn't mean it, so the impact doesn't matter.
Right.
The fact that it hurt you is irrelevant because I didn't mean it that way. And we're going to get in a lot of trouble for a long time if we continue to operate under that lens.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's being open to those comments and open to, I want to use the word correction. I don't think that's the right word, but
Learning
growth
and feedback and growth. And that's right.
Growth and understanding. I mean, I will never be able to understand what other people have gone through in their life. They'll not understand what I've gone through in my life. And I think being able to have those conversations and be open to those conversations without getting so defensive and justifiable is just like, listen, like those listening skills.
Just listen is basically the best advice of all time on any matter. Like this, just marketing, like anything, the answer really is always just freaking listen.
Yeah, that's true. So over the last year, we've all gone through some craziness, and we talk about how it's affected a lot. Everybody pretty much in the world has been affected by COVID, and the stats are now coming out that women have been affected a lot more than men in some of especially with their jobs and staying home, and like there's just so much there. How has the last year been for you, and how has that affected your life, your business,
Yeah. So, there's some things that I look back and I'm so grateful for. One of them was that we had already started we always knew we wanted our courses that we used to teach in person. You attended in person. We always knew we wanted those to go online. That was a goal of ours, to move that more virtual. We really thought it would take us a lot longer. And I think the only reason was because everybody has this, right? So, so we were lucky. We were doing a lot of stuff virtually already. So we immediately launched a course called the Live Video Connection, filled that right away to teach people how to Zoom or Facebook Live or whatever, while we figured it out. We figured not the course, but what we were going to do. And so we taught this course as we realized, okay, this is going to be longer than 2 weeks. I guess the marketing lab is now going to be online. So we had our first marketing lab, it was going to be in person. We did it the same format, but on Zoom. So we still did 3-hour sessions. Anyway, in hindsight, I was like, wow, that was long. Thank you to that cohort for showing up and being there. But it was, it was intense. Maybe we did a little bit less. Maybe we did 2 hours now that I think of it, but we did them live on Zoom, and it went well. Everything went fine there. So then we were able to fully integrate this entire membership. So we pre-recorded it, we moved everything virtual, and it really just freed up a lot of time in our business, which, hence this whole real estate piece that I brought back. So that was really cool. We get to take our services at Marrow, really streamline them, make them basically like they stand alone. They're good to go there. But one of the things that I lost is my income and well, love of my life, professional speaking. So I'm also a professional speaker. And this year is supposed to be a huge year for me. It was going to be the biggest, and it was one of the things I was working on. So I had a big, huge event, dream event that had to be postponed, and probably other things, were going to come from that. So that was something I was working on ramping up. And that stopped to a halt. So very fortunate, some of my speaker friends, that's their whole income, and that just stopped. Conferences were done. So for me, it was a piece, and that wasn't a huge deal in that regard. But I found myself a few months back coming into winter, no speaking. So none of this big, electric connection with the audience that I love. So none of that. And then now Marrow was all online, no in-person ever. And I was just super isolated and lonely, straight up, just lonely. And I was like, I want a local business. I want a local business where I'm going to interact with humans on a regular basis. What do I want to do? And I sold real estate for a million years. And so it was just a really awesome way to see people in my community again. And I've been so grateful already to have so many awesome clients and be in obviously crazy market. I used to sell in Toronto, and then I moved here and sold new construction here, then launched these businesses like Marrow and all of that good stuff. And so now, here we are with this kind of double going on, but it's really allowed me to I was teaching people how to run their local businesses, but our membership has people across Canada and one American. And so I'm not in a local business. I'm teaching people how to work on their businesses. And so that's really what I missed. And it was just a piece of the puzzle that I needed back very badly. And it's human connection. And that's a huge driver for me. So I found it.
I love that. I think that really speaks to what you had said before about finding who your people are and really feeding your passion. One of the things that you made us think about in the courses is what feeds you, what do you love to do, what clients do you love to work with, right? And build your business around that. And your need for human connection and that was there, and that was something that you needed to fulfill. So
really did. It was, even the change. So my license became active just in February, beginning of February. I think January of this year, 2021, was as hard for me, maybe harder than March of last year when it all started. It was probably it was really hard. We moved out from downtown out into the country as well. Yeah. So, I'm working in my home office and I see nobody, and I look out the window and I see nobody, and there's no traffic noise and there's nothing. And, and I just, one day I went and parked downtown and just went for a walk down Main Street just to feel cars near me. And that isolation was really starting to get to me. And I was like, I don't want to live this way. I'm a people person, and I miss people a lot.
The birds and the squirrels weren't doing it for you.
I don't even have those. I live in a field. There's not even you can see trees. It's
Maybe
beautiful. I love it. It's just
maybe you'll get some ducks in your pond there.
Yeah. So now, there's an office I can go to, COVID compliant, but I still get to see humans around me and all that good stuff. Oh, and I work with my husband, which is fun.
What is some advice that you would give a woman starting a new business?
You already are, this is from Kira, you already are who you need to be.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
We are socialized to believe through school, and then especially if we spend some time in corporate, that our value is intrinsically linked to the degree to which we keep the people who are above us on the food chain comfortable. And so that means we are rewarded by, pleasant, quiet, obedient, all of those things, all of those things that get rewarded when, your boss or superior just really wants you to exist to make them look good or whatever. And so I'm not saying every manager is this way, but that's the structure we have, ultimately, right? If you're disrupting everything in an environment that does not want to be disrupted, you're not going to last long. And so
I was never a very good employee.
Right? We're socialized to just like tone it down a little bit and don't wear that outfit and like don't talk that loud and wow, you're really hyper and like maybe you're too much, like a lot of that, you know, not speaking from experience or anything. And all of those things, once you start your own business, if you can let yourself be them, they're always your best stuff. They're always the best of you. Hire for the other stuff or get a partner or whatever. But like, if you spend all your time just trying to like, I said this to a very good friend today who was trying to work on a weakness and is being like really like encouraged to just develop this weakness that has continued to rear its head over time. And I was like, what if we just could actually work on amplifying our strengths and let someone on your team who has a strength in this area just take that off your plate? Like that's what you can do as a small business owner, right? You can do that, or you can get a VA or whatever you need to do and spend that time where your magic is. Because if you think about your business, every task that has to happen has a monetary value to it. And there is stuff that only you can do, and it's the magic. And for me, that's like, look, if I can speak on a stage in a room full of our buyer persona, that is the highest and best dollar value use of my time. That's the most valuable hour I can spend doing anything ever. That is way more valuable than me trying to do a spreadsheet. I can do a spreadsheet. And also, if that hour was spent when I'm doing my best work, then we've just made a bunch of money and not wasted that hour on me on a freaking spreadsheet. And so I've been able to really lean into what I'm good at and let go of what I suck at. And I'm proud to say I suck at these things so that I can hopefully show my clients they can do the same. Because it's like I spent way too many years trying to pretend to be good at everything. I now can see what a waste and like a kind of boring generic version of me that would have been.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. I mean, we are conditioned to work sometimes work really hard on our weaknesses. It's like we go to school and you come home with your report card and you have like 90s and 100 in certain subjects, and then you get, you know, 60 or something in another subject, and then we're encouraged to work harder in that subject. Yeah. Instead
when it's like, actually, thank you for the data. I suck at science. Cool. I'm going to go continue writing. Like, right. You know?
I was opposite. I was really good at the science and the math. English wasn't my forte.
Or you have a kid who gets good grades on everything. And so then they must go to university and maybe be a doctor. Yeah. And then that comes down so hard where it's like, it's just like,
well, we're conditioned for that, right? It's this system. It's what it, and I used to get in trouble with parents because I always preached. I preached to my kids, and I've preached to other kids that have been here. If you don't know what you're passionate about and you don't know what you love, don't go to university to fill your time. Don't do it. And if anybody's out there and you don't like that message, this is just my personal opinion, but it's like, find what you're passionate about and do that. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not saying it doesn't. I had one kid go to university and one kid did not. And, you know, they're both very happy, but you got to find what you're passionate about and do that. If it means going to university to become a doctor, because that's what you're passionate about, or to become a lawyer, or to get into business, or whatever it is, I'm not dishing like education in any way, shape, or form, but don't do it just because you should.
And of course, you know, when we were younger, that was a path to a career, right? I mean, it was a different, you know, generation. It was a different story. You went to university, you had a career. Like those two things were simultaneous. Like they were for sure guaranteed. It's not the case.
I went to university and I partied a little.
Well, but like, you know, most people, like you'd come out with a BA, you had a job at a bank or something, whatever. Those things didn't even have to line up. It was just like the fact that you had a degree was something really special about you, and therefore your ticket was written. And that is just absolutely not the case right now. And when you see people going to university because someone's making them, or because they're going to find out what they like there.
Yeah, if you like carpentry, do carpentry because you'll probably make a killing at it right now. Or like find what you're passionate about. And I love that. It's like find your strengths, work to your strengths and make those. I mean, I can do bookkeeping, but I don't want to. So it's like I let somebody else do that. It's not worth my effort and time because I'm better at other things.
Absolutely.
So
we have, like, if I'm doing, detailed paperwork, I'm telling you, we're going to do it twice. Like, we're going to do it 2 times. It's going to have to get done again. I have a proofreader. I'm a pretty solid writer, but if I'm focused on perfect writing, I don't convey emotion. So I don't focus on that. I focus on emotion. Then we get someone to proof it. Like, those things are there for a reason. And if I water down the best parts of me so I can do the other things, then we just get
you're not gonna do anything good.
Yeah. Or like exceptional. Like, it's gonna be fine. Like, who wants to do fine? Like, don't go into business to just be fine. It's way too much work. Like, go into business because you are fired up to do it.
Yeah. I honestly personally believe you have to be fired up in order to go into business by yourself. Like, if you're looking at becoming an entrepreneur, if you're not, then it's going to be a long road.
You're not going to have a lot of fun.
Nope. And I that's one thing that I love about you and Kira, and that it's like, you guys have fun. Like, it doesn't mean you don't do serious work. It doesn't mean you don't work hard, but you make it fun, and anybody that works with you can see that you're working to your strengths, both of you, and that you're making it fun.
It's been an incredible thing to it's been an incredible thing to have a partner like I do.
It's not a good interview if I don't make you cry.
I know, right? I'm like, that's my line. I'm like, if you're not crying, it's not working. But like, I don't even know how to explain what our relationship is like. I mean, she's truly, my opposite in every way, but also I don't know how we have a lot in common. We don't talk about what we have in common because it's not fun for the internet, but like, we have a lot of things in common. We take quality extremely seriously. We don't miss deadlines. We're intense about quality. Like, we're just really we have extremely high standards. People don't like working with us in jobs, either one of us, because we are always like pretty hardcore. We move fast. We have a lot of things in common, but in terms of strengths, we have no overlap. You can plot it on a spreadsheet with our strengths finder test, and we have no overlap. And what we really have is this really beautiful appreciation for each other's gifts. And because of that, since day one, neither of us has ever told the other how to do their job. Neither of us has ever interfered or even really critiqued how the other one did it, because we were so clear about, these are your gifts and these are mine. And I want the best of your gifts and you want the best of mine. And so we're there to support each other. We're there to proofread for each other. We're there for those reasons, but there's never been a competitive moment. There's never been an overarching, I hope she would say the same thing. I mean, I don't think there has. She's like, yeah, right.
I'm confident
she does that all the time.
I'm confident she would.
But we really do have something amazing. And, you don't get a friend in your life that often that can really see the whole you, and sometimes be so in tune with who I am that, like, when I have a question or concern, or when I'm not confident, it just reminds me who I am. And I couldn't be more grateful.
It's a great partnership, and it's really inspiring to watch 2 amazing women work together so cohesively, without that competition, without having to one up each other, without, you saying, she should be more like me, or vice versa, right? Like, I think that's part of the message that's coming out in the world right now, is that we need to raise each other up. We need to pat each other on our backs for each of our own strengths, and being able to work together cohesively like that is powerful.
It's, she's quite a bit younger than I am. And she's taught me more in my life than maybe anybody. I have had a lot of bosses, official bosses in my life, and nobody's taught me more than her. She's such an essential leader for me. Like, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you. I'm like, some moment.
Sorry. Okay, couple of questions. I think we probably already heard the answer to this, but what motivates you to get out of bed in the morning?
I am like internally the most competitive person you've ever met with myself. Like, not with others. I don't, it's so interesting. Like, I really don't pay attention to what others are doing. But I want to be better than I was yesterday, in like with such, I have a lot of energy, Kim. Like I bring more energy to being better than I was yesterday to myself than maybe anything ever. So that's what gets me out of bed.
Bring in the energy. That's because your energy won't let you stay there.
Yeah. I mean, when I crash, but like, I really do, I do like being better than I was the day before.
Thanks. What are 3 things you can't live without?
Oh, it's so cheesy, but my kids are like, I love my kids. Everybody loves their kids. Like, I friggin' like, I wait all day. I work from an office some days, I work from home some days. Days where I work from home. So today I work from home. On Thursdays, Marrow day. I don't leave this office. And my husband drives them home. He takes his lunch late and drives them home from school. And so today, that one day a week where I'm home and they're not like with me or whatever. And so I'm working, and all day I'm like, oh, I just can't wait for them to come home. I miss them so much. And then they come in and then they get a snack and they say, hey, Mom. And then they go in the basement and I don't see them again. The best, right? They're so funny. They're 12 and a half. But I just freaking think they're so great. So my kids and husband, obviously my family, my phone, like I am a full on like glued to my phone. If you ever call me or text me, I'm extremely fast at responding because I never stop touching my phone. And some way to make a co-creative contribution to the world. So whether it's like my work or whatever, volunteering, anything, I just kind of always need to have some way to feel like I'm helping something move forward in a better way.
Right. And bringing it back to local in Moncton, what do you love most about the Greater Moncton area? I guess I won't say just Moncton, but Greater Moncton.
I know like everybody will be like, oh, the people, and like, yeah, but what's so special about the people, right? So I lived in Toronto for 10 years. My in-laws are there. I love Toronto for a lot of reasons. I love the feeling of the energy. It just makes me so joyful to feel that. But what is the best here is it's not like just the people, it's the people in our community take accountability and a level of ownership of this community that I personally have not experienced anywhere else. So people here show up and care a lot about what happens. Sometimes that doesn't look very nice. Like people feel like Moncton is theirs, which means you can sometimes like see some really mean things on the internet about like our elected officials or in like municipal
tweets out there. Yes.
Like you see a lot of that stuff, but like if you step back and be like, what is that kind of core driver behind that? It's that people here actually really care about what's going on. And even if they're being rude and mean and emotional, it's only because they care a lot. Like I'm not condoning some of the behavior, but I'm saying like they care so much that they're doing this. I'm always, I've been thinking a lot lately. I had a conversation recently where someone was like, where were you on 9/11? And of course on 9/11, I was at Mount A. And that was when there was a lot of people in our community that went to the Coliseum because a plane had landed. Mm-hmm. And the people from that plane deplaned and went to the Coliseum. And there were people from our community showing up and taking these people home with them for the night to feed them and give them shelter. And I had two of my girlfriends that had cars at Mount A that drove into town to get people and bring them back to Sackville. And I was just thinking about the other night, like, where does that happen? You know, like people are like, oh, there's people stranded in my city. Like, I'm going to go get them because I am responsible for what happens in here, you know? Yeah. So I think that when you think about whether it's showing up and volunteering on BBW or whatever, I just think that's very unique here. And people are passionate and fired up and there's debate. And, you know, sometimes it's not nice, but it's all coming from that.
Yeah, not everybody agrees with everybody else, but everybody shows up.
They show up. They really care on a level that you just, I don't think you see everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really interesting at the 9/11, we were actually in Halifax at the time, but we came home. And by the time we got home and my husband went down to the Coliseum to see everybody that wanted to be placed and wanted to go someplace other than the Coliseum actually already had a place. They had so many volunteers. It was overwhelming that there was more places and more beds than they needed. And that's fascinating, right? Like that's just really,
it's really amazing. Something. And, you know, over the past
short period of time, like how that.
Over the past year, while we've been in COVID, we've had a lot of people move to our community. Absolutely. But we've still been under restriction and lockdown. So we're not gathering the way we used to. And so I've been thinking a lot about what's this going to be like when we can all go back to meetings. There's all these people here that haven't met us all yet.
Yeah,
you know,
it feels weird. It feels weird to not, like for me, I'm a constant, like we entertain all the time. My house is an open house. I remember somebody had posted years ago when we were in a home with a pool and that I had posted like, hey, pool's open. It's like +40 out or something like that.
I almost came over that day.
And I laughed because I had somebody private message me saying, you shouldn't post your address because, you know, anybody, and I'm like, everybody in Moncton knows where I live anyway. Like I'm just like, I think that's our community. We're very trusting in that way. And it's like, whoever was supposed to show up shows up, and it's definitely something that we're missing right now. Like it feels so weird to not be able to open my door wide and say, come on in, and hug people. But, you know, like if it's really interesting. But yeah, you are correct that that's one of the amazing things about Moncton is that connection and showing up. People want to show up.
People are running for council. Like right now we're having like every day. I'm like,
I lost count. Like every day there's like, it's like, whoa. It's like, holy cow, I can't wait till I see it all in one spreadsheet. So
yeah, we need an overall graphic. Like how many people are running for office? How many people coach youth sports? Like how many, like, you know, it's just
mind-blowing. Yeah.
Like
it's awesome. Like it's great.
Amazing.
It's one of the amazing
we're very things. Like I'm getting emotional again. Like we're just really, really fortunate to be where we are. And you know, we keep taking care of each other this way.
And we will get there again where we can be.
We will.
Just virtual land. Well, Natalie, I really want to thank you for having this conversation. Is there anything you want to end saying? Anything you want to get on your soapbox and talk about? Or
if you know my dad, don't tell him I talk about him on the internet.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm lucky. I have two dads, so it could be one or the other. I'm very fortunate. You know, no, I don't have a soapbox to share. I mean, I'm just really grateful that you guys are doing this series. You gals are doing this series and allowing us an opportunity to have these conversations because we can't hang out in person at meetings. And I think it's really important and valuable. And so, you know, you have all been showing up as volunteers and leading these over and over and over. And I just want to say thank you. I've taken a few in. Sometimes I can't watch the whole thing, but I'll be able to pop in and say hi. And it just feels, you know, really nice.
It's a nice connection.
My friends.
Well, we miss everybody for sure. And a big shout out to like the whole team at BP, like our whole board, Amanda and Ashley, and I mean the whole group of them that have taken this on. They've really done a great job at rallying. Like we just want to showcase women in our community and rally everybody as much as we can at this point in time.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate your time this evening. We love you. We love Marrow. I'm not moving for a very long time, but I'll give you a call if I ever decide to.
No worries.
Been there, done
There's
that,
enough
not gonna
people
do that.
moving right now. We're good.
I'm like, been there, done that, not going to do that for a while.
Yeah, you just did it. I'm gonna unpack my boxes one of these days, I swear. I might need you. I need you over in my new house.
There we go.
All
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.